Unexplained YouTube. Unexplained YouTube. Something's missing, Kendall.
What is?
Lots of things.
Yeah.
Out in that bastard ocean that keeps taking shit from the world.
You mean my couch?
No,
Because lots of shit gets lost back there.
And under it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's like a black hole. But that's another story. Today, we are talking about the Bermuda Triangle.
Bermuda Triangle.
Also known as the Devil's Triangle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That they're making it sound bad now.
So anyway, this forbidden stretch of ocean is between Florida, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico. If you get your little ruler out, you can draw yourself a pretty little triangle right there.
You need your ass a map too.
Oh yeah, well that too.
Okay.
Anyway, it's just north of the Caribbean Sea where Johnny Depp hangs out, as we all know.
All day, every day.
Every day.
Every day.
So anyway,
that's an interesting. I'm going to talk about that for a second.
But
because Bermuda Triangle goes way back, right?
Yeah.
And you got to think like that area is a huge shipping lane and always has been.
Since the English came to the New World, they have been shipping shit down there and
from there. Yes.
Mm-hmm. No, before that, the Spanish were doing it before the English. And then after the English came, it was the Dutch and the French. Fucking everybody was using that area and still uses it today, in fact.
And not just that, but if you look at it, it's a chain of islands that are really close and they're really little and they're connected and their locals and inhabitants jump them all the time.
Yeah.
Okay?
There's
a lot of activity going on in this area.
Both seacraft and aircraft. I mean, you have people flying, little Cessnas from Miami down to Bermuda. You have commercial flights. You got merchants. You got people with their own boats. Just lots of stuff going on.
And it's a pretty area, and people want to be there.
Yeah.
All right. So it has that going for it too. This will come into play in a second.
Mm-hmm.
Go on, my chap.
So, I mean, you think to yourself, an area that's called the Devil's Triangle, that place is so, terrible. Why?
Sorry.
It's so terrible. Why would these people go there?
Yeah.
Because it's a great way to get around. And because it's not cursed. Uh-oh, spoiler alert.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Yeah, the notion that this area is like a cursed chunk of ocean is so ridiculous that the United States Navy refuses to, put this on the map. The Coast Guard doesn't recognize the Bermuda Triangle. You call them up and say, hey, find anything weird in the Bermuda Triangle? They go, no. I mean,
where is that, mister?
Well, yeah.
What are you talking about, you whack fellow? Get off my line.
You won't find it on really naval charts or any, official government maps.
Unless you protractor it out yourself.
Yeah, it's just an urban legend that has a lot of hype, and because of a couple things that happen there, everybody panics. But you got to realize, boats crash, cars crash, planes crash everywhere all the time. It's an unfortunate thing, but accidents happen. But you don't really hear about it,
Yeah, and where there's more of those things, there's going to be more of the bad things too.
Yeah,
just due to traffic.
But I mean, you get a series of a couple, mysterious things, and you throw a weird name on there, and all of a sudden you got yourself an urban legend. That's all it is, people. It's just hype. I mean, it's people over-exaggerating the truth, people misinterpreting the truth, or just not even, trying to be truthful at all.
If people like anything, it's a good Lost at Sea story.
Yeah, and that's... I did some real hard digging on this, and all the stories and alleged news articles were written by either crackpot people or people who were almost immediately discredited. So I mean, like I said, it's just hype. I mean, if it wasn't for the Bermuda Triangle, having its name the Bermuda Triangle, we probably wouldn't know about Flight 19. It would just be another, accident in our history.
Yeah.
But because of the hype of, this mysterious area, quote, quote, we know about Flight 19 or the USS Cyclops, we know about all those, accidents that were kind of mysterious but can be easily explained at the same time.
Tell us about Flight 19er, K-Dog.
All right, M. Shamalamadam.
I prefer Big Johnston. That's my flight name. Your K-Dog is your flight handle.
Okay.
Big Johnston's my airplane name.
Can I call you Papa Bear?
Or that.
All right, Papa Bear.
Okay, K-Dog.
You put the smoke on the water, and I'll bring the fire from the sky.
All right, let's do this show.
All right, so before we saw Flight 19 pop up mysteriously in the desert in Steven Spielberg's Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Flight 19 was flying around Fort Lauderdale in Florida. The TBM, Avenger torpedo bombers, were being flown out there by the Navy frequently. So it wasn't a very uncommon thing to see these guys flying around. I'm sure a lot of the merchants and what have you were accustomed to seeing it and didn't think anything of it. But this flight, for some reason, just flew off course. I mean, it was a series of bad events. They had weird weather. Both compasses failed. I mean, they carried two compasses, as a failsafe, and both failed.
Mm.
And everything failed, and they got turned around, and they ended up having to ditch in the ocean, and they were never. The planes were never recovered. The bodies were never found, unfortunately.
Ocean's pretty big.
Yeah, the ocean, she keeps what she takes.
A lot of room to get lost. And also the head guy, from what I glossed over about this. The head guy was kind of a, I'm a fly this plane. I'm a fly it till I can't. He kind of had an attitude. Sorry he's dead, that's a shame. But it's not the kind of attitude to have when you're trying not to wreck. And on top of that, he had instrumentation problems. So you got to think, well, it's sort of a bad recipe for the worst concoction. And then, they had to ditch and do a rough sea on top of that. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of bad, unfortunate things. So it kind of tells its own story after a while.
Yeah, on top of that, the pilots were all trainee pilots with, basically 300 hours of, flight time each. And only 60 hours of that ever being an adventure. So it was kind of a new aircraft to them. The flight leader was kind of new to the area, and there was just a lot of things that just compiled up and made this a doomed flight, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And, this story used to freak me out as a kid, but, I mean, now that I'm older and I understand how to read...
You realize you don't live there in the Bermuda Triangle.
It can't touch me over here.
You can't suck you in.
Can't get the stank on my but like once you look up the actual radio transmissions, because it's all documented, you realize that they simply got turned around and they ran out of fuel in the ocean somewhere between Florida and the Mexican Gulf.
And so basically, right, so an attempt to stay together, they ditched in at the same time, right?
Yeah, the last transmission was the flight lead saying all planes close tight, so they closed up the formation so they could stay together, because by the time the last transmission came in, it was dusk. They couldn't really see. This is before they had night vision and all that stuff. They were just flying blind basically at night. So they closed up formation, and they were waiting for the first plane to hit 10 gallons of gas. Once the first guy did, he would, turn his engine off and kind of glide to the ocean, and that's how they'd all know to do the same thing and follow him in, so they could stay together if it was a rough landing in the ocean. And so, that was that. That was the last transmission that was heard, and that was at about 7 p.m. The sun was going down, weather was starting to get rough. At the time, there was a British tanker ship out there in the relative same area, and she had radioed in to to Florida, saying that there was high winds coming from the northeast of the Bahamas and some pretty choppy waves. So, I mean, Flight 19, they pretty much ditched right into...
Badness.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
So it makes sense that the debris was, scattered and pretty much just lost.
Another thing about that area is that there's a Gulf Stream.
Yeah.
I'll explain that for those of you simpletons. It's a deep ocean current that flows through there, and it basically creates a flow within the ocean. So take, for instance, the rest of the ocean sitting relatively still, and then you have this really, it's like a jacuzzi. You have a jet of water somewhere in there carrying things away that normally wouldn't happen in other sections of the ocean. So you got that. That's probably why they're not finding a lot of this kind of stuff either.
Hmm.
These remains and weird things like that.
Yeah, and the flight lead had been known to get lost at times too. Like you said, he was kind of like a fly by the seat of your pants kind of dude. And it had been recorded that he got lost several times.
Yeah.
And it was twice. He had twice had to ditch planes because he ran out of fuel, and this was in the Pacific, though. But I guess it was ruled out that Taylor, the main guy, was not at fault because his compass stopped working.
Which if you're gonna play BT advocate,
Mm-hmm.
you could say, well, that's bizarre that both the compasses stopped, and it is. It's not. That's why they have two.
Yeah.
So that's kind of strange.
Mm-hmm.
But it's. I guess it really is a huge part of it because it caused the whole thing to go down the way it did. But was it supernatural? I don't know.
I doubt it.
I have my doubts. I'm holding back on that part, but.
And the rescue plane that went out to go search for them and went missing too, it was loaded down with fuel, and those PBMs were known to have fire issues. Was finally ruled that it had gone down due to an explosion. There was an oil rig that saw the explosion out towards the area where the PBM had been flying looking for wreckage.
Sad, but what can you do?
It was just accidents, and just things happen.
The tanker, a tanker out there saw an explosion of the PBM allegedly.
Yeah.
The Gaines Mills reported to have observed flames from an apparent explosion leaping 100 feet high and burning for almost 10 minutes. At the position they give coordinates, Captain Shauna Stanley reported unsuccessfully searching for survivors through a pool of oil. The escort carrier USS Solomons also reported losing radar contact with an aircraft at the same position and time.
There you go.
That's kind of weird, though. It's kind of eerie.
That it went down as well, yeah.
Yeah. It's like the doomed thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's that is eerie. Supernatural again, I don't know. Maybe there's some weird magnetic fuck thing that causes compasses to go all balls out. I don't know. That's not necessarily supernatural. That's just unfortunate.
That's just unfortunate.
Yeah, because who knows? I know compasses don't work at the top and the bottom of the earth. Who knows? Something may be wonky somewhere else on it.
Yeah, but I mean, all in all, though, there's a lot of other cases. We just touched on Flight 19 because it's the most popular.
Yeah.
But like I said earlier, it's popular because people want to believe in the Bermuda Triangle. All in all, it's just hype that perpetuates this idea that it's some sort of weird extraterrestrial place that
Atlantis is there.
Yeah, and Aquaman's, freaking
turning tricks down there in Atlantis ruins.
Yeah, and while like Indiana Jones is hunting for aliens and stuff, it's all just hype, guys.
Yeah.
The Bermuda Triangle is.
I hate to break it to you guys, but Indiana Jones is a fictional character.
Just like the Bermuda, the Triangle.
The BT?
The BT. BT's fake.
BT ain't none.
Subscribe.
Bye, guys.